In our last message, we left off at Jude chapter 1, where there's only one chapter, but verse 6. Well, let's reread it just as a quick recap. And the angels who did not keep their proper domain, but left their own abode, he has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day. One of the things that we discovered in looking at this is Jude is bringing information to the table that you will not find in the book of Genesis. It's not there. We discovered that he's actually drawing from a particular book known as the Book of Enoch, a book that was readily available, that was studied, that was read by him and his contemporaries quite well, and even on through the generations after him, even into the early church fathers. Well, here's the thing about that book. That book records with intimate details the whole backstory of these angelic beings coming down and genetically crossbreeding with earthly women. When Jude wrote this epistle, he wrote it in the mindset that these people know what I am talking about. He doesn't have to expound on certain expressions or certain statements, certain stories. He doesn't give additional details. He simply mentions it knowing they know what I'm talking about. And he brings these things to the table like Israel in the wilderness, where God delivers them and then brings them in and tests them in the wilderness. And then what happens? He destroys them. Well, I got to tell you, there's a boatload of things that transpired during this whole time. He's just giving you a very brief summary. This is no different. This is nothing but a brief summary with the expectation you will meditate on it and you will draw from it the reality of what he's trying to convey. For us to unlock that, we're going to have to dig into the book of Enoch a little bit today. And I assure you, as we get into this statement won't mean what it means to you now. With that said, let's break into the book of Enoch. And this is what we read. And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days there were born unto them beautiful and comely, attractive, meaning daughters. This is virtually identical. This is a parallel statement to that of, here it is, Genesis 6:1. And it's kind of a mnemonic device. So if you ever get caught in that situation where I know Daniel quoted from the book of Enoch, he was talking about the fallen angels. Where does it talk about that in the book of Enoch? Because Enoch's 108 chapters. Okay, that's a lot of chapters. Where does it do that? Real simple. Does it in the same place that it does in the book of Genesis. Chapter 6, verse 1. Enoch 6, verse 1. Where Genesis drops off, Enoch goes on and gives you the whole backstory, which we're going to begin right now. And this is what we read. And the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them. Now, I want to stop here because, the fact that these angels saw a woman, that's not earth-shattering. That's not startling to me. In fact, you would expect that. Why? Because the angels are called the eternal watchers. These are the watchers. Do you understand? Angels are very involved in the affairs of men, watching over the affairs of men. When Yeshua says in Matthew 18, he says, don't despise one of these little ones, because you better know that their angels always see the face of my Father in heaven. And what is Yeshua conveying? You better be careful how you're treating these little ones, because the report is going to get back to the Father. They're watchers. Angels watch. What is abnormal is that they began to fix their gaze on these women in an inappropriate way. And with abominable hearts. They began to covet them. They began to lust after them, but it's more than that. There's a lot more to this story. As we continue, it says, and they said to one another, come, let us choose wives from among the children of men. And what do? They want to beget us children. They wanted family. They wanted a wife, they wanted children, they wanted heritage, they wanted offspring. The watchers were watching what God did to mankind, how he blessed them to be fruitful and multiply. This great blessing that they have, they wanted part of it. Absolutely amazing. At which point we continue. And Samjaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed. Oh, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of the great sin. Unbelievable. Couple things you want to note about this statement. Number one, Samjaza, this leader, this angelic leader over other angels, he comes out and he confesses, he knows what they're about to gauge. Hey, we want to start a family. Samjaza wants to do this. But he knows it's sin. And it's not even just a regular sin. He knows it is a great sin. Therefore, he knows God has commanded you not to do this. And yet, isn't it interesting? This is what Samjaza wants to do now. You want to talk about a mind-blowing, eye-opening revelation? The angels of God are given free will like we are. They're given free will. They're allowed to think for themselves. And here's what's so scary. That desire that burned in Samjaza's heart to start a family, to go the way of the wicked, in other words, to turn his back on God and to start a family, that desire grew so great, it was greater than his desire to serve God. Now, see, this is where we come into play because there's a real practical application. How many times do your desires carry you away even when you know, I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't partake in this, I shouldn't say this about this person, I shouldn't do this to that person? All these commandments of God that you know in there, but your desire tells you differently. And I'm going to tell you, when you let that desire speak louder than your desire for the Lord, you're a dead man. You think, well, we're living in a generation now that only knows how to listen to their emotions. I only know how to listen to my desires. Why do you think adultery is off the charts? Why do you think fornication it's hardly calculable? Because men are moving, women are moving in their heart's desires. We've seen this before. This incredible situation. And so, first thing to mention, Samjaza knows that this is sin, so he's willingly going into this. But here's what blows my mind. What is his primary concern? It's not the sin. It's not the fact that he's desiring something more than he desires to serve the Lord. That's not his concern. His concern is that I alone shall have to pay the penalty. I don't want to do this on my own. Who's with me? See, do you see this? This is crazy. Samjaza wants to be affirmed in his desires. He wants the affirmation. Please, you other angels, affirm me in my desires. Come with me, brethren. See, misery loves company, or we should say sinners love company. It feels good. We continue in verse 4. And they all answered him and said, let us all swear an oath and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Isn't that interesting? Samjaza said, I don't want to do this alone. All the angels respond together, we will all come with you. We're with you, Samjaza. Unbelievable. And then we go into verse 5 and we read this. Then swear they all together and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And they were in all 200. Absolutely amazing. We are given the specific number of angels that made this oath to come and to start families on earth. 200. And I'm going to tell you this, listen to me carefully. These 200 angels changed the course of history forever. But then it gives another detail here. Look at this. They descended in the days of Jared. Who is Jared? He's the father of Enoch. Okay? Jared's the father of Enoch. Enoch, who's he give birth to? Methuselah, Lamech, and then Noah. You have 5 generations. 5 generations from Jared to Noah. This is the time period of the fallen. And it's important you pay attention because it's during this time period. The reason we called the days of Noah is because of these angels. Do you know that? It's because of these angels. The things that they would introduce into the earth, the implications of their sin would lead to the days of Noah, would lead to a time where the earth actually would become unredeemable. That's the kind of corruption that took place on a spiritual, earthly level. Absolutely incredible. Let me add to that. Yeshua says, as the days of Noah were, so also the coming of the Son of Man be. You want to know about what Yeshua is talking about as the days of Noah were? Book of Enoch records exactly what those days look like. And isn't it interesting, I'll say this again, that this book and this generation is making a revival. I don't see that as a coincidence. I see that very much the Lord's hand in that.
Hey there, this is Mike at Corner Fringe Ministries. Thanks for watching our video. If you liked the video or it encouraged you, do us a favor. Hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the share. And if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. Now, if you want to watch the rest of this video, hit the button here. And if you want to watch the rest of this series, you can check it out here. And don't forget, you can download the Corner Fringe Ministries app today on any of your Play stores. Thanks for joining us at Corner Fringe Ministries.